Can I have a motion to exit executive session? All right, Commissioner Jordan, do I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Mapes. All in favor? And so going back to our agenda, we went into executive session to discuss the employment history of a specific individual. We're now back in regular session, and we have some members of the public that would like to provide public comment. As part of our public comment process, just a reminder, as a commission, we're not allowed to kind of respond back or answer any questions. And we do ask that everyone try to keep their comments to 3 minutes or less. And I think first on our public speaking list is Monique Tinsley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing for me to speak today. I have lived in this town for 47 years, and I think it is safe to say that I have seen and I have heard a lot. I am here today speaking because I am a Kingston resident who does not believe that a promotion should be happening to a certain city official. He and his constituents have rained terror on our city with their training day police tactics, only this isn't a movie. People's lives have been turned upside down due to their unprofessional, unethical tactics. Some community members would rather face the patrol dogs back then in those times than to be at the mercy of he and his constituents. And that is saying a lot given the history with people of color and dogs. I am here today speaking because there are community members who are still living in fear of retaliation for speaking up. They say people can change, and I say to that, please have the same energy and the same enthusiasm as you do with non-law enforcement officers when they are ready to get their sanctions and their judgments handed down to them. I believe promoting any one of the 3 candidates will dismantle all the hard work of police and community. I have been to many meetings since 2016 through 2018, and we have had a break in some, and then it has picked back up. We have had conversations with law enforcement that were not nice, raised voices, but after all of these years, 2022, we can say hello when we see them out on the street. We know who the new officers are because they come and they wave and they say hello. This wasn't the case before. As I stated, it was a training day, a series, and not a movie. I am not against police. I am not anti-police. I just don't believe that we have room in this city and this town for anyone that is going to have anyone living in fear. Whether you say it's because they're guilty and stop committing crimes, we will say the same things to the people that are up for this promotion right now. We have been trying diligently, members of this community, to try to bring a brand new day and a brand new light and to get away from the ways that things are. And I think that you would be doing this community a disservice by giving this promotion. And it will make the community start second guessing us. And what have we really been doing all these years? Because we have taken 2 steps forward to take 5 steps back. Many Kingston residents did not know about the last promotion, but I was in the room right across from here, waiting on a decision in the Fabian Marshall case when we found out that said officer was up for promotion. And I didn't have any pearls, but trust and believe I was clutching them because I could not believe that this was under the radar so low. Because I know that more people would have been there if that was the case to speak. I believe that Kingston is on the way to being better. We have a long way to go, but putting said officer in position, whether they're on the street or not, I believe they work best behind closed doors. And I think that putting them on, they will rub off their wild, wild west tactics to the newbies that are coming, that want to make a change, that are looking to make a change, that want to get away from that, the constituents. It wasn't just one person, it was a group. So again, I say I'm here today. I signed up to speak, not because it didn't personally happen to me, but it happened to our community members. And in the words of Emmett Till's mother, if something happens to one of us, it best be the business of all of us. So I made it my business to come today to speak for the ones who are scared, for the ones who are still living afraid, for the ones who didn't get their story told, and for the ones who weren't believed when they told their story. This is not needed in Kingston. There is better days coming, but I urge you, Commission, to think twice and to think hard about the young men, about the daughters who weren't believed. And it's not going to be good for Kingston if this promotion goes through. Like I said, I'm for the police. And I don't have any problem speaking. I don't have any problem showing my face and speaking in public because it needs to be a brand new day. And we need to stand behind one another. And oftentimes we were asked to stand in solidarity with the police and take pictures and be certain places so that the community can see that we were standing on the side of the police. And today I ask y'all to do the same for the community. Stand in solidarity with us and let this town know that we don't care who you are. It's not going to be tolerated. We don't want violence, and I'm not for that. And I'm not for having somebody with a badge patrol. I have grandchildren, 3 grandsons, and a granddaughter. And I would like them to have this town in a better place than it was for the 47 years that I lived in it. I thank you very much for your time, and please consider everything I said.
Thank you, Monique. Up next, I have Tyrone Wilson.
I mean, just, thank the commission for this opportunity to talk. I'm going to be honest with you. I am absolutely disgusted about that I'm even sitting right here having this conversation. Many of the members that's right behind me, my pastor, we, since 2016, came together because of one of your individuals that is up for promotion. And the fact of the matter that we had to come together the way we had to come together, because at the time, we wasn't getting no answers from the city of Kingston. Nothing. It was a straight community effort to come together with our law enforcement, as hard and ugly as it was. It was a straight community effort to bring this together. And even to this day, that same coming together is still happening with the individuals behind me who are still holding that throne and coming together with our law enforcement. It is such a smack in the community's face. It is such a smack in your law enforcement face to even consider this. And I want to say, as Monique just said, the community and law enforcement is in such a good position right now. Such a good position. It's not just about the community. You have some wonderful law enforcement, young guys that came on board. And it's a good spirit with them. And if you go and say the name that you all know while we're sitting here, and you go say that name in that community, if you want proof, you don't just go into the community and say the name. Say the name. That's how powerful and deadly that is. So not only is it a personal matter, in 2015, I had to save my son from this individual. 2015, literally. Why? Because I fought for my son. Because a lot of people are so afraid of this individual that they're afraid to come forward because of retaliation. And this is not hidden. This is wide as you can see yourself in the mirror. And the fact that we are here right now, coming together, and as much as this community has grown together, and for us to be even considering what we talking about right now, I mean, Monique talked about, I think she said 5 steps back. This is way beyond 5 steps back. Way beyond 5 steps back. And I don't think you want to get the same reality because we're not having it. And it's not a threat when I'm saying it. Because me personally, I put blood, sweat, and tears in this community to help bring this community and law enforcement together, along with my sisters here and some of my brothers here. I mean, time after time, when we didn't feel like it, in the rain, in the snow, we met. We have a wonderful, wonderful relationship with our chief here. A wonderful one. And that didn't come easy. But we hug our chief today. We wasn't doing that just about 3 years ago. Think about that. Think about that. So it's not just the community members out there that we're talking about. It's these young individuals that got the badge on today that we also want to protect. Because this individual, we can add on murder, rape. We can add on rape. We can add on conspiracy. I mean, we got a journey. Okay? And I'm just asking the commission, take what you're hearing today, take your time. Take your time. Because when we talking about a life and death matter, this decision is life or death. And I thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Tyrone.
I'd like to speak from here, and
You can probably go wherever you like.
I'd like to stay in, but I'm going to. Thank you. I'll be as brief as I can. Okay, I'm here today on behalf of the community, which in large part has been broken and terrorized in some way by the very men you are considering for yet another position of authority. We, community leaders and members like myself, have been holding weekly to monthly meetings with state troopers, Ulster County Sheriffs, and Kingston Police Department to bridge the gap and avoid or resolve some of the issues we face on a local and national level. We've done this for years. Throughout the process, we have tried our best to get KPD involved and to show up, since this is the police, these are the police that police our city. And we haven't had much luck. Nothing to do with you. Chief always brings who will come, new recruits, Ernie, that's all good. We've only gotten, I did not say names, so I have to be careful. About a year into the meeting, reluctantly, one of these said officers up for promotion showed up to one, almost immediately showed a display of frustration and anger, and when he didn't agree with someone's opinion, he got into an altercation with someone from a human rights, Tyrone, and myself over expressing our feelings, and that's not okay. On the other hand, the other officer who has the most disgusting reputation as an officer in the entire force, possibly countywide, in my opinion, never attended a meeting, never expressed an interest or a concern to attend anything for the betterment of our city, nor did he make any attempt to bridge any gap in any way in the very community he polices. And you sit before me with these two being presented as the men for the job. I strongly and wholeheartedly disagree. Approving this promotion benefits neither the community or the Kingston Police Department, and I say that with authority. If our goal is to change the narrative on how our police are being viewed and Black and brown folks are being treated in our neighborhoods, you need to know your choices can and will set us back if either of these two men are given any more authority than they already have. If you wonder why we can't get it right, it's because we haven't filtered out the wrong. And if you don't see that, you too don't belong. If the air is not purified, chances are the virus will spread, as it has. As part of the police commission, you have a responsibility to your community as well as those that police it. I'm talking to you, Shaniqua, Donald, Brad, and Steve. You have a responsibility to our community as well as to the police that police our community. Ask them why the majority of Black and brown people are afraid of them. Ask these officers before you promote them. Ask them if it has anything, if they had anything to do with a confidential informant getting killed. Ask them if they think drinking and driving is legal for them. Ask them how often they break the laws that they enforce. Ask them if they think it's okay to have their wives and family members lead social media, entertaining and engaging in cyberbullying when people speak out about their misconduct and what's happening. In fact, they all know the truth. This includes family. I only have 3 minutes to talk, when in reality, there's no way to put 15+ years of a community's trauma into a 3-minute speech. So this will end with eternal unanswered questions. If your goal is to go backward, then you're all on the right track. You're doing a great job. So don't waste time, because under their watch, there will be innocent Black and brown men. They will be locked up, women and children. I don't even need to go there, but y'all be aware, and know our history will be a modern day reality on either of their watch. And know things. I don't need to hear about their training. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, and there's no amount of training offered up that can pull the devil from hell. Until we get it right, I'm going to speak out when something's wrong, and I speak to those who need to make it right.
Okay.
Thank you, Liz. I think, Minya, I had you next.
All right, thank you for allowing me to speak, members of the commission, Mayor Noble. I'm coming here just as a former commissioner, also a community member. As a commissioner, when I was a commissioner and I would reach out and talk to the community, no other name came up more frequently than this name. And I know this, and I've said this before, I don't have proof of any of these things that have happened. But I do have a consistency of words being said over and over and over again that I don't hear about any other officer. And that is something that you have to listen to after a certain point. And when you see trauma, it's hard to miss when you see it in individuals. And when you see, and as a commissioner, when I would say, well, can you speak? Can you say something? The response would be, I'm too scared of retaliation. Then how can you do something about that situation? It makes you helpless as a commissioner. What can you do if someone's not willing to come forward and make a complaint? We're stuck, right? So for me, I'm coming in that from that perspective, but I'm also coming from a community perspective. Now, like everybody said before, I don't have to go into the stories, but what I can do is go into what I have witnessed in progress in terms of the community. When I was commissioner, from that time in 2020 to today, the community involvement and communication has improved progressively in a way I didn't think was possible. And I've seen us go through transformations of the hard conversations, the yelling, the screaming, the misunderstandings, to a point where there's a certain amount of communication, where there's nothing I didn't even think I would ever see in my lifetime, an ability to communicate, an ability to trust. And that trust will be completely destroyed with the community if you laterally promote this process. It doesn't matter if you explain the details of backgrounds or why this happened or why you think it is. The hurt and the trauma is there, and there's nothing we can do. There's nothing you can do that's going to convince the community that that decision wasn't made for any other reason other than to continue to traumatize the community. There's no way we can convince anybody else otherwise. It's just not going to work. So that's why I'm here in that capacity, to just be able to think that I do understand that certain circumstances lead to having a limited choice of who you can promote, but in this case, I understand that we have more than one, and I do believe that there are other people up that will be a better choice than this person. And I would please urge you to make that decision. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Minya. Ishmael, I have you up next.
Came here because I didn't understand when you, as the chief magistrate position, and the young lady spoke about what the individual was doing to her, making her do. Nothing was done about it, and it continues. An individual mother had spoke to me about guns that person was given. And when I found out, I got it from the kids. And found out he was given to one kid didn't give it to me, got 10 years. Another kid had a situation with some guys, he gave him the money to get the gun and had SWAT leave. Now, I have grandkids, and I'm concerned about that individual. The reason why, because somebody that was 13 and got pregnant is down in Florida. And he sends her money. In fact, she came to see me, but I wasn't home. But I talked to her, found out a lot of stuff was going on. You heard that stuff in the library. And didn't do nothing about that. Nothing. And I don't understand that. You have kids, mainly daughters. You praise on the kids. And that's terrible for him to have a position and you want to give him another position, as corrupt as he is, because you can't tell me he's not. The accident, I've been at that. After the accident was said to me, that's from Newport. Okay, so I know, but you covered that up. And when we had a meeting with a different mayor, but they said, well, you don't have to do breathalyzer. And that's a lie, because if I get stopped, if I refuse, I'm going to jail. But what they did is they covered it up. Because he has an uncle that has a good position. So they covered it up and still allow him to work with them. I respect the police. I've worked with this man right here to honor the police master. Honor the police, we did a good job. He even got the picture of Albert. I respect police officers, but I will not respect corrupt police. Because it makes everybody look bad. You got a lot of good guys now, because I walk with them, talk with them. They're playing basketball in my community because I asked them. I didn't have to ask them twice. And the kids are loving it. And this is what we want, to change the mindset of each other, to respect the police officer and respect the community. When I found this out, some of the girls said, "Pastor, please, try to stop this dude, man, from getting this position, because it's gonna be bad for us." So I'm asking you as a mayor, you know what he does, because you was told by that female. If that was your daughter, what would you do? You know, you wouldn't get vouch for him, because you know he's corrupt. And for you to do that, that's a smack in the face. These officers are good people. I can't judge his character on anybody else, but I know that it's gonna be hard for the police, the community to trust you got this guy back. And they asked me, man, to ask you not to allow that, because they're afraid. He goes up on him, tries to get him in the car, as you was told before. And something happened to mine. I don't know what I would do. But you were doing this, man, because of what? I don't know. You know what type of dude he is, because you was told that. And to consider him, you don't care about this community, or the city, or any of your men, because you got good men now. We're trying to stop the shooting and stop the violence. I'm trying to promote my anger management. Get people, man, to trust the police. Well, it's gonna be hard to do that when you have this person, man, still on the force. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Carl? Yes.
My name is Carl Brown. I'm Commissioner of the Wilson County Human Rights Commission. I don't have any young kids in the area. I moved out of Kingston in 1993. It was Friday night. I came back in 2013 after leaving United Airlines. When I first came back here, I got on the Ulster County Human Rights Commission. The first thing I heard about was one of our judges that went to school with us. All right, that was putting kids away for a long time in jail. We had to try to do something to curb that. And the best thing was something called restorative justice that we started working on here at the city to stop kids from getting kicked out of school and getting into prison pipeline. As that was going on around 2015, I started hearing a lot of rumblings about this said officer, about what he was doing, what he wasn't doing. Now, I'll tell you, one of my nieces, and I'm not going to mention her name, is one of the girls that he was, that was performing fellatio on him because she was stopped in a car. So realistically, I never met the guy before. I have no respect for him. And I'll tell you right now, here's the thing. If you have a community and you have a police officer that gets told to you that they're doing some misconduct, and it happens all the time, you're constantly hearing this, and you're constantly hearing this, and then you take it to the police commission, that's one thing. And no disrespect for you guys, okay? But what they need here is an internal affairs for New York State. They're the ones that police the police. My brother's a US Marshal, and that's what they do. What you're doing here, this right here is what? You cannot accomplish anything. Had these misconducts been investigated the first time through an internal affairs, this guy would no longer be a cop.
And might be in jail.
They might be in jail, or maybe if they should pass some legislation and take away some of his pension, maybe that's what some of the things we should do. Maybe then we won't have this misconduct percolating among the police administration. So we have to look at stuff like that. But to feel comfortable as a mayor, as an administrator, as a commission, and as the officers here, guys, if something happens and we put in, this is not a threat, this is a promise. If something happens to one of our community members under this guy's watch, or something said, somebody gets killed, or somebody gets some sexual favors, or whatever the case may be, we're gonna have to take it higher up. We'll talk to Letitia James or somebody else that will do the investigation and hold everyone accountable for it. And this meeting is definitely recorded. We were here. We're standing there. You guys have an opportunity right now. You can choose right or wrong. If you choose to go wrong, you chose to go wrong. That's fine. And we'll go from there. If you choose to do right, you listen to us. You listen to the community. One of the people that voted for you. Just say that right now. There you go. Steve Lova, that's who I voted for. Not just because I believe in you. Because I wanted you to be our mayor. Because I thought you were the right person for the job. Be the right person for us today. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Carl. Pastor Clark?
Thank you for this opportunity. I don't know how many of you know that I've been retired as the senior pastor of New Progressive Baptist Church for almost 6 months now. They gave me a grandiose title of Pastor Emeritus, but I came here in 1995. And a few years after that, I started hearing the rumblings about this police officer and some of the alleged misdeeds that he was up to. And it wasn't until members of my church came to me, grown people came to me with complaints, some of them in tears, very emotional about having undergone certain indignities with this police officer. And I remember feeling at first a sense of, this isn't possible. This is Kingston, this is stuff that's here on TV. But I kept pressing the matter, and then one night, to my surprise, I saw a KPD patrol car pull up in front of my house. And out came this officer and another one. And after I got over my shock, came to find out they came to plead their case with me. I mean, who am I? But they came to convince me that the stories that I had heard were exaggerated and et cetera. I felt I was a little intimidated because now he knew me, he knew where I lived, but that's what I signed up for. So it wasn't, I knew that things had to change. The relationship between the KPD and the community that I served, it was atrocious. It was horrible. And I know this because my fingers were on the pulse of this community. I mean, New Progressive represents like a microcosm of the Black and brown community of this city. And I started to feel personally really emotional about where this was going. So we started, the field started, and thanks to, well, the previous mayor and then a receptive Chief Tinty, we started a series of community policing forums at Newpro. And I thought it was very beneficial. The first few meetings were, tumultuous, to say the least. But then we kind of settled down and started respecting each other more, I think. And I got to know some of the officers, and they got to know me and the community as a whole. And I felt that we were on the right track. But still, rumors continue to percolate about this particular officer. So I was baffled, and I am still baffled as to why he has such a stranglehold on the leaders of this community. Ordinarily, I'm thinking to myself, any other person with so many complaints of violations of people's human rights, your civil rights, would have been gone. But yet, here we are in 2022, he's still there, he's stronger now than he ever was, and now we're gonna reward him with this title. So I'm wondering if at this point somebody knows something that I don't know. What makes him so powerful? Well, I hope that the commission, I hope that you make a decision based on your conscience, on your feelings of justice and fair play, and not be swayed or coerced into making a decision that will forever hamper this community. Because my final question is, in making this assignment, what does the community gain by this person being in such a position of authority? What will the community gain by this? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pastor Clark.
Well, I might as well go and make mine public.
Go ahead.
Shy Brown.
Y'all know I'm Shy, once again, on the board of Harambe, community leader, and have been one of the individuals that have started the meetings, bridging the gap with the police and the community since 2016. And I want to say this. 08G 0774. I am the proof. I am one of the proof. One of the individuals that this officer has damaged, traumatized. And I told y'all before, I'm so triggered. Like, I'm holding my composure because I'm very triggered. And if I'm triggered, as strong as I am, as a community member, just imagine how somebody that he's damaged traumatized in the community face. That is not a strong individual. That is afraid to speak up. That's the difference between me and the community, because I'm not afraid to speak up. I'm not afraid to have an officer pull in my yard. I'm not afraid to go toe to toe with an officer. I'm not afraid because whatever y'all could have done to me, you already have done. You took freedom. That didn't belong to you. It belonged to me, but it was stripped from me because of the corruption of this individual. And then I didn't have a voice then. I didn't have a voice with Williams. I didn't have a voice with my paid attorney. I didn't have a voice with his partner. I didn't have a voice with him, but I have a voice now. And I'm going to use that voice and scream as loud as I can on the top of the hills until somebody hears me and until somebody listens. And not only am I holding, I'm holding Shaniqua accountable, I'm holding Mace accountable, Brad accountable, Noble accountable. I'm holding all of you accountable for your community. And if you don't know, just talk to people. If you don't know, if you don't understand, if you can't feel, listen to a mother who lost her son because of that corruption. Feel her tears. Listen to a young man whose freedom was stripped from him because of that corruption. Feel his pain. Feel him when he can't get a job because he has a felony on his back. Feel him when he can't better his life because he has a felony on his back. And when I say do your job, because I'm like Monique, I'm not against the cops, because it is criminals in this. I'm labeled one. According to Ulster County, I'm labeled a criminal. But there's criminals. So do your job. That's what you get paid to do, is your job. But do your job the right way.
Okay.
The right way, not the wrong way. Just because you want a certain person. Just because you have to put someone in prison or jail. Just because you following the quota of the numbers. If you're not personally affected by him, kudos to you, but I am. I'm personally affected. I hate him. With every fiber and every being in my body, I hate this man. And if I have to, I am willing to go to papers, I'm willing to go to the news, I am willing to round up this community, I am willing to fight to the end of my being, so this man will not have that seat. And that's sad, because it's sad to hate somebody that much, but I hate him that much. He took everything from me. And ever since I've touched pavement, I've been trying to gain that back, slowly but surely. But every time I have to sit in front of a desk to go to school and prove that I'm good enough to go to this school, I'm triggered. Right back to that moment. Right back to that moment when I was sitting in that police car. Right back to that moment when Van Allen was standing there with the crack cocaine. Criminal possession in the third, and never had anything on me.
Wow.
How do you do that? How do you get that charge when it wasn't on your persons? Corruption. Corruption. That's all it is. And I always say, the police are the biggest gang
Come on now.
in this community. The only difference is they're police. They do crimes that are underhanded, but everybody pushes it under the table. When that man had that accident, y'all knew that man was drugged up. But that was pushed under the table, like it was in the papers, but it was pushed under the table like nothing. Nobody never wants to mention his name. You put this man in this position, his power, he will be untouchable, because he's already untouchable.
Arrogant. So far.
He's already untouchable. You put him in this position, he will be untouchable. He will he will train those nice little young, handsome little officers y'all got running around here, who out here playing basketball with our kids, who out here going to the meetings with us. He will corrupt them. He will corrupt them. And if not for me, for my 6'7" son,
Okay,
who walk these streets, that's who I'm fighting for. Do I want him to encounter this man? Absolutely not. So if I'm not sitting here for me, for my pain, for my suffering, for my hurt, I'm sitting here for my son, for her son, for her son, for his son, his daughter, his kids. Because the generation behind us is coming. And they might not know this certain officer, but the parents do. So we gotta fight for our children now. And I'm urging y'all, I am urging you guys to please think about what you're doing. Please think about the position you will put this man in. Please. And if you don't feel like it's gonna affect you, it could one day be you. It could one day be your child. You never ever know. You just don't know. But put someone in there who's going to care about this community.
yes.
That's the most important thing. Someone who is going to care about this community that they live in. Most of us live here in Kingston. Most of us live here. We care about our community, because if we did not care about our community, we would not be sitting here. We would not be fighting for it. We care. I wouldn't be putting all this time in the community if I did not care. I care about what's going to happen to this community if that man is in that position. So I urge you guys, I beg you guys, just to consider each and every one of us, and each and every one of us said something so powerful. And I just urge you guys to consider what we said and really think about this decision before this decision is made. And please, I'm holding y'all accountable. And I will shout it to the rooftop. I will, if I hear this man got this position on my life, this is on my life, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna be fighting you, I'm gonna be fighting you, I'm gonna be fighting you, and I'm gonna be fighting you. And this is on my life. I promise. Because this cannot happen. Please, this cannot happen. Thanks for your time again, guys. Appreciate it.
I think that that's all I had on my list for public speaking today. And so with that, and we're good with public speaking, we'll move to our agenda. And so I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting in May. Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Do I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Mapes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Up next is a report from the chief. Do you have anything, Chief?
Just a quick update, we just had officers go through, I know our crisis intervention training course that was put on recently in Boston County, was well attended by the Kingston Police as well. The honor guard course that Sergeant Byron Rao oversees, he was in the officers attended from the honor guard program. They said it was great. Just, I guess I can make it somewhat old business, but all but 2 camera systems have been installed with the zero. So it's been working well, and they are better than we had hoped. They are phenomenal. They really are. So you see the asking more in the budget there.
So I did hear from, I happened to see one of your staff in the building today who's managing that project, and they said that the license plate readers should also be going online, going on any.
Yeah, separate project, but it
Yeah.
should all come out.
Yeah.
Very good.
For communications, we had that one complaint come in that was not filled out correctly, and so we've reached out to try to get more information, and so as soon as we do, we'll send that out to everyone.
I think we have a meeting, you have a meeting with Friday.
Yeah.
Deal with it all.
Yeah, and I don't think we had any other,
We had one, I believe, was an email.
was that a compliment?
Comment, yes,
Compliment.
in regards to one of the officers that assisted whole life.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes, saw that. And so that's all I had for whole business. You guys have anything else? So for new business today, we have two, interviews. We've got, four candidates for, the detective sergeant position. We're gonna do those, we'll have those done in an executive session, and then we'll come back into regular session. We'll, consider at that time if we're gonna do an appointment. And then after that, we have candidates for, two patrol officers, that we'll do, after that. And so, with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session, to, do interviews, for the sergeant detective position. Thank you, Commissioner Mapes. Do I have a second? Thank you. Commissioner, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No.